All right, guys, so we're getting ready to start porting and polishing these heads. These heads are some Screaming Eagle 120R heads that were removed off the motor that was a little bit damaged. The valve guide and valve was dropped in the cylinder, damaged up the head a little bit. So what we're going to end up doing now is putting a 2150 intake valve. We're going to use our kibble white valves like we always use. We're going to go ahead and install on the front and rear head some kibble white valve guides. These have been machined for the 420 valve seal that we like to use all the time. And on the exhaust side, we're going to go ahead and machine it with some tools that we end up buying from Goodson. We're going to machine this lower portion here to give us a little bit more clearance on our valve spring pack. So what we're going to end up doing is also, even though they're CNC ported, we're going to open up the runners a little bit and kind of direct the runners to come a little bit more towards our spark plug, so it gets a little bit better burn. So what I'm going to do is get everything started, put this on the mill and start machining. Hopefully you guys watch this to the end so you guys can see the finished product. We really appreciate it, guys. If you don't mind to like, follow, subscribe, and hopefully you guys enjoy this. All right, so here we're cutting the last pass on our intake seat. Once we get this one done, we'll go ahead and show you the difference in between this one and the one we have not cut yet. All right, so this one measures 1.96 on the inside. This is before we got the seat cut, and here is the other seat. So that's how much of a difference we ended up cutting, so we can install the bigger valve. So what I'm gonna do is turn it around and cut the exhaust side, and then we'll jump over to the next head. All right, so doing one of the final cuts here on the exhaust seat. Once I get this one done, we'll go ahead and show you guys the difference in between the before and after the cut. All right, so we just measured 1.44 on the inner diameter of the exhaust seat and got quite a bit of difference. So what I'm going to do is get set up, cut this other one so we can start finessing and continue porting the head. Alright, so we're going to get ready to start cutting these up a little bit. You can see right there where we kind of opened it up a little bit, opened up the seat. Even though these things are Screaming Eagle and they've been CNC ported, you can see right there where none of that is smooth, where the valve would sit on the seat. You can see the casting marks are pretty bad. So what we're going to do is take this opportunity to reroute this thing. It's going to go a little bit further this way and closer to getting towards the spark plug so it can get a better burn. Right now it's kind of directing to about right here, and so I kind of want to reshape it a little bit and go this way so I can get in there, and then of course reshape it a little bit in there, this area right here. So let me get started with this and then show you guys as we go along. All right, so here we go. Got it pretty much smoothed out there. We kind of opened up this area here, basically where the valve is gonna go, and so it can flow a little bit better, so it's not quite so sharp on the way down there. Opened up the exhaust. So next thing is to start using the center rows, start smoothing things out, still smoothing out the inside of the chamber and stuff. So let me get that going. All right, getting further along on these heads, so got everything pretty much smoothed out there. That's their intake. Here's the exhaust, other intake. So what we're going to do now is continue smoothing things out, and then we'll start getting ready to install that intake guide. Alright, so we just finished polishing up the chamber and the exhaust. So what we're going to do now is get ready to install the valve guide on that head. So we're going to use our kibble white valve guide, intake valve guides. And then this is a 1650 exhaust, 2150 intake, which is a pretty nice big intake valve. Of course, we're going to use our 420 seals. And so I wanted to show you guys, we're using a Redshift 657 cam, which is a 657 lift. TDC for intake is a 0.180. TDC for the exhaust is a 0.162. So what that means is we have some little tools that we made that ran it over at High Performance, showed us how to do this. And what this means is that this is at the time at that lift is when both valves are going to be open at the same time. So we've been doing our clearance checking and everything, and we should have plenty of room that we need, or the measuring between both valves, so they won't clip each other or touch each other. So what I'm going to do now is cut the seats, get everything going and squared away, and then after that we'll go ahead and check our spring pack height, and we can go from there. All right, so we just cut the exhaust seat. So where it's red, see if I can zoom in a little bit better. So where it's red from here to the bottom red part right there, that's your 45-degree angle. That's already been cut. So right now, the part that you see exposed, the silver part, from the red here, the bottom of the red, to right here, that's our 60-degree angle. So what I'm going to do now is come back and touch the 45-degree angle to clean that up, so we don't have any of that dye on there. So when we're going to try to lap our valves, and then we're going to get set up to cut the intake seat. And that's our new valve guides down there from Kibble White. That's already been installed. All right, so we just bumped and hit the seat for the intake. So right here where it's red, from here, let me see, get on this side over here, from there to here, that's our 45. So we're going to get ready to mark and cut a little bit down here, 60-degree, and that basically helps us with the flow, just like that one. You can see from here to here is 45, and then from there to the bottom is a 60. Just gives it a little bit of rounded flow instead of being kind of square like this one here. So let me get set up, do that one, then I'll start doing the other head. All right, since our valve seat's already been done and everything, our next step is going to go ahead to, we're going to do a couple different measurements. We're going to measure from the top of the guide to where the lower collar sits. And then we got that measurement. And then we measured the seated height, which is where the valve is seated. In other words, where the valve is closed. We got that measurement. And then we did our measuring and formula, and we have plenty of clearance in between the bottom part of the top collar and the top of the valve guide, so it doesn't come back and hit depending on our lift. So if we go back over here, so that's the difference in between the top of the guide to where the lower collar sits. So then this is all our measurements here. So our open height, that's when the valve is open, is going to be 1.263, and when the valve is closed, it's a 1.92. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab our springs and put them on our GEMS tool to put pressure on them, and so we can see the seated height, the coil bind, and spring pressure all at once. All right, so we have our spring in the GEMS spring pressure tool. And right now it's basically simulating like if the valve was closed. So that's a 1.92. So then we're going to turn this into 1.26. Getting closer. So 1.26. So right there, what the valve would be open, it has right around 560 pounds of pressure, and we have enough for coil bind. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the bottom where the lower collar sits to give me a little bit more clearance, so make sure that we don't have coil bind on our spring. So let me get set up to do that. All right, so this is a tool that we got from Goodson. This is to machine or cut the bottom right here where the head is, where the lower spring collar is going to sit. And what's going to do is we're going to cut it to give me more spring travel. So what's going to happen is the lower collar is going to go further down. It's going to give me more length from here to here, so I can get a longer or higher lift cam, so it doesn't come and the springs don't coil bind and touch, and then we'll have bad, that happens, you know, rocker arm and stuff would break. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish doing this one, then cut this one here. All right, so we already cut the part where the lower collar sits. We already cut this valve guide, and that's just to install our 420 seal. So I'm gonna cut this guide here. Just wanted to show you guys. So that one's cut. So the next step is gonna be to clean everything, wash it up, and then get it set up on the lathe so we can deck the heads. That's all right. Now we have our gems tool already set up. I already drilled and machined the first part using this here. So what it does, it drills the center part and then it drills the outside part. Next thing is for me to make the threads with that tap. So we'll stick it in this right here and make some threads down there. We'll take the jig off and then we'll drill a small little baby hole way down there. So let me get set up to do that. And then after that, we'll chase all the threads and then we'll get it decked. All right, so we just finished assembling this thing. The heads have been decked. This head has been assembled already with our kibble white springs. There's where we machine for our compression or manual compression release. This one does have automatic compression releases as well. So I just wanted to show you real quick. We're very pleased how these heads came out. This is our intake port. We finished this with a 60 grit, so a little rough down there, but this way it helps atomize the fuel and it goes in as a vapor instead of as a liquid. Helps you with efficiency, burning, and also gives you more horsepower. So here is our exhaust. Really nice. Love the way these things came out. So this is going to be really nice 117 motor we're going to build. So guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, leave a comment, hit the bell, all that other stuff. We really thank you guys for your support. We have a lot of cool videos coming soon, guys. So thanks for watching.